content is created and protected and paid for. It's the basis for which you can create revenue streams and multiple revenue streams at that. There is no understanding of that. And even within that, there's no understanding that the revenue streams and how they're created in one subsector are not the same way as the revenue streams created in another subsector. So there is a fundamental lack of understanding of how the CCIs operate, and that's reflected in the positioning of the CCIs in various departments and just the disjuncture of how they're dealt with. So for instance, DTIC will be dealing with the drafting of the Copyright Amendment Bill. DSEC is left out of the equation, or treated like a step cousin or a stepchild in that equation, and not really party to it, not really driving anything. You have DOJ dealing with content piracy, which affects the CCIs. You have Department of Communications dealing with things, or supposedly dealing with things like local content, which affects the CCIs, in particular the music industry. You have DOJ now also dealing with AI and its implications in isolation of other departments, and not even taking into account the creative and cultural industries and the impact that that will have on those industries. So it's a very disjointed approach to the CCIs, which needs to stop. And I think this is why this conversation is very, very critical, because when we speak to you, and I'm now looking at the political parties, when we speak to you, we need to have an understanding of where are you positioning the CCIs currently in your campaign and your manifestos? What are your plans for the CCIs going forward? How are you, if you were given the opportunity, going to remove the impediments to the growth of the CCIs and the multiplier effects that are there? I mean, take an event like this. It's a microcosm of what's happening. All the skills that are required to put this together, comm skills, artists, facilities, food. There's a wide range of skills that are required to put things together within the CCIs, and this is just one type of event. How are you going to remove the impediments? How are you going to put policies in place? How are you going to impact legislation or drive legislation or advocate for legislation and other things that can address the challenges in the CCI? I think for us, that's the conversation that we would really like to have. And I think more importantly, I think everybody knows me as that copyright lady, we would like to have an understanding of your view of the Copyright Amendment Bill, where it's sitting at now, and what should be done in order to ensure that we have legislation that is fit for purpose in South Africa. Also understanding that South Africa is not an island. We operate within a global system. We have multiple, for instance, an organization like ASAMRO, multiple agreements and arrangements that will affect our international relationships with partners across the world. How are you going to be dealing with those issues? How are you going to speak to them? How are you going to support, for instance, structures like the South African Cultural Observatory? How are you going to support the industry without becoming a nanny state? Because that's what we've become. You dangle funding to, in particular, artists and musicians in this country as a way of ensuring that, I won't say keep in line, for lack of a better word, but that's not sustainable. Creatives, whether they be individuals or companies, whatever the case may be, in this country are fully capable and able of doing the work they need to do, generating the revenue they need to do, creating employment, creating relationships both locally and internationally. But it is your job as the people who are responsible for governance, policy, legislation to create that enabling environment. And we would like to know how you intend to create that enabling environment so that the CCIs in this country can grow from a 3% to potentially a 6, 10, or whatever else the case may be. Thank you.
Thank you, Chola. It was very good, actually. I think when you said Lisiwe as a public speaker, you were drawing attention to yourself, and you got it. You did it very well. We got it. Thank you very much for that introduction, for that welcome speech. Excuse me. Now, our last speaker in this session, I had meant, by the way, to ask, I'd like for people to move up a bit than to sit at the back. I know it's always easier to escape when you're sitting at the back, but it's greater when we're all sitting together and closer. It makes, even for the optics, it looks good. So when you get a chance, please move up. So Tshepiso Chikapapira, the last time I called somebody by that name, they were a music artist who passed on, is the CEO and founder of the Known Associates group of companies. Wow, I've heard of all. I've never heard of that one. She's a University of Cape Town alumni with 20 years experience in communications, events, media, marketing, television, and film production. Her career spans from working in the international events, including the North Sea Jazz Festival, Sitengi Film Festival. She has also worked in classic advertising as a suit. I'll engage you later about what that means. In 2007, she decided to commit in a career as a television and film producer. Her training ground was at the Bomb Productions, where she was the associate producer on the drama series Zone 14. Tshepiso is chairperson of the Independent Producers Organization, the IPO. Other boards she sits on include the Independent Black Filmmakers Collective, the Durban Film Mart Institute, the Gerald Sokoto Trust and Media Heads 360. Tshepiso, I'm not going to put you under pressure. My program says we should have taken a break by now, but you still have your full 10 minutes. If you can take 7, I'll be very happy. Thank you very much.
You guys have been having issue for so long. 10 years.
The whole notion of love is some romantic bullshit.
Love.
I know things haven't been easy between us lately. I love you, and I can only hope you still love me too.
Jacob, bye-bye. Jacob, do you want me?
How do you know when your wife is cheating on you?
I'm falling for you.
We need to go to the cops.
Why?
Indoda enye mina Nkunzi ngizwa. Saphaze Nkunzi, sigqwale ngawo ukuthi ulengisile for nothing. Skide kwezwakala. Satshala kwahluma.
Isicelo sifaka umuntu omdala ikomiti yahlangane manje. Uma bevumelana uthulisa unikeza iqhabi imfanelo zayo. Uma isiqedile yageza.
Ubona umphefumulo womuntu uhluka nenyama yakhe kwaqhamehla bheka phezulu.
Umsebenzi womthetho.
It's 20 foot high. The barbed wire covers every inch of the yard. Doors with guns. Lock up the door. Panels in any direction. They just lead you back on the prison property. Everybody comes in here and they're going to break out of here by next week.
Always a first time. That's my touch exactly.
I found a dead man, a dead body in the cellar of the fridge of the house that we are selling.
Stay where you are. Don't move. We've got a search warrant for this property. Let's go.
Yo papa Materato, who fed the head?
What's going to tell Lina? Lina, let's have a look but dangerous.
My children are going to hell. They are going to jail first and then hell.
This money's going to do a lot of good.
I'll see you soon.
Mutsi, Waruna isn't safe anymore.
The how isn't as important as getting the results. And remember, you taught me that.
My eyes, my aerials, klaar.
Ons battle is nie met die demons wat ons kan sien nie. Dis met die unseen devils wat hier om ons rondloop.
Sarafina, take one. Action! Keep the girls in the car.
Stay in the car. Okay, just stay in the car.
What?
Diabolo.
Okay, what's he saying? Diabolo means devil.
I've never seen anything like this. Multiple attacks without eating its prey. Lions don't do that. At least no lion I've ever seen. Shh. Go back to the calls.
Dad, please!
Breathe. Slow down.
Good morning. Thank you, Program Chair. I will keep to my 7 minutes. Welcome to everyone. My name is Tshepiso Chikapa Phiri, and yes, I did marry into the Chikapa Phiri family, but not to Ray. You know, filmmakers, we like to make an entry. Everything is dramatic. But I'm very proud to say all those films were made here in this country by South Africans. The UNESCO report of 2017 reads, South Africa is reputed to have the best government to support the film and audiovisual industry in Africa, as can be seen by the number of departments and agencies with direct interest in the sector. However, a lack of coordination between the departments and agencies, unreliable administration, and uncertain policy framework currently diminishes the real value that is delivered to the sector and in turn to the economy. I'm going to do a little bit of an education about the industry, my side of the industry. The National Film and Video Foundation, an agency of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, which has currently been sitting with an acting CEO for over a year, is mandated by the NAVF Act to develop and promote and transform the sector through the provisions of grants and bursaries, training programs, and marketing in the industry at home and abroad. The work is supplemented by provincial film commissions, which report to the regional economic development departments, such as the KwaZulu-Natal Film Commission, the Gauteng Film Commission, the Eastern Cape Development Corporation, and Westgrow in the Western Cape, who also offer grants and training for regional producers and productions. Westgrow, however, does not provide grants. They, in turn, are supported by the city film offices, example, the Durban and Cape Town film offices, which provide logistical support to productions filmed in their jurisdictions in an attempt to improve coordination and collaboration between all departments noted above. The South African AV Forum, an intergovernmental body, has been established. In a recent presentation to the 250 graduates of AFDA in Cape Town about 3 weeks ago, I looked into a room of 400 parents who were very nervous. 250 graduates, 400 nervous parents. I knew and understood the parents' fears. It is the same fear that my mother, when I told them, her and my father, that I was going to work in the entertainment industry, that my mother phoned my father and said, what does she actually do for a living? Why am I not making use of my university degree? You see, I studied politics and economics. My father fairly replied, well, Martha, there is nothing to worry about. She's employed. At least she does not ask us for money. In fact, sometimes she even gives us money. You see, my mother had dreams for me, which involved me becoming a bank teller at Absa Bank in Germiston. It was close to Katlehong, where I come from. The fact that I worked in entertainment was baffling for my poor mother. I think she thought I was fulfilling a short-term hobby, and soon I would get a proper job. I've been at this industry for 23 years. The work we do in this industry is not a hobby. What we do here is gainful employment, like mining, agriculture, tourism. We are manufacturers. We manufacture product that has IP that each and every one of you here in this room, at least most days, consume when you get home in the same way you consume bread, possibly on a daily basis. We're an industry that needs to be respected and taken seriously. Unfortunately, where we stand now is that this is an unprecedented time with almost all government departments involved in the AV sector amending and introducing new legislation and regulations. While they are in the main well-intended and progressive, several aspects of these proposals, including the copyright and performance protection bills, now sitting at the President's table, Chola, in case you were wondering, for him to sign, and the new DTIC rebate incentive for our sector, which introduced new guidelines last year in September without any consultation with industry. The removal of Section 12O and Section 12J of the Income Tax Act, which benefited our industry. All this new legislation and regulatory changes contain elements which represent real threats to the future viability of the industry and could see the imposition of undue financial and administrative burdens on all people that work in the sector. That includes us, the producers, the actors, the accountants, the gaffers, the drivers. Furthermore, our service providers, the catering companies, the equipment companies, the edit suites, the hotels we book when we shoot international productions in this country, like The Woman King, like Mission Impossible.